it is a pleasure to have you here, Steve. Other than being a huge Cleveland Browns fan,
Yeah.
sorry,
It's been a good year.
it's been a good year, and being a son of the congregation, I mean, you've grown up here. We know you, we know your family, the epitome of Lador Vador. You also, and just having a lot of sweetness in your family. We're going to try some sweetness and, well, maybe a little bitterness today, too, right?
Yes, a little bit of sourness, but in a sweet way.
That's all right. Well, I'm really excited. You're one of the first people I met at SHM, and you taught me all about beer. And now I'm like, this was the perfect event. So I'm excited for you to walk us through. I have my beers all
Cool.
lined up.
Did Rabbi Steinberg end up with his somehow?
He didn't, but I
Oh,
have them for him.
he'll have to play catch up.
Uh, I will be glad to do so.
We also, I'd like to introduce, we have my beer guru here. I don't know if he's showing up in the meeting, but we have Eric Mock, my neighbor, and we're calling him our beer goy for today. And he has introduced me to most of the beers that I love. And therefore, I brought him along today also to answer maybe any questions that anyone had, because he's a wealth of knowledge on it. So
All right.
he's behind us somewhere in the distance.
I'm over here already.
Okay.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Steve, take it away. Tell us about some beer, and I'll try it along with you. And please feel free to take notes, because these are all local, right?
Yeah, well, mostly local, the California beers. So the first thing I did was I wanted to kind of educate myself, because I know what I like, but I don't know that much about beer as far as like the history of it. So I just did a quick Wikipedia, and I was astounded to find out that beer is actually 7,000 years old. It's the oldest known chemical drink, and it originated in the Middle East, probably somewhere around Iran, and about the same time as the invention of bread, beer came about. So I don't know. I didn't know that. Beer has just grown ever since then, and all the way up into the Industrial Revolution. And what does it say? Today, the brewing industry is a global business consisting of several dominant multinational corporations and many thousands of smaller producers, ranging from brew pubs to regional. The point there is somewhere in the 70s, popular in the 80s, more popularized in the 90s, and recently there was a backlash to this big multinational beer industry, and craft brews came about. Small breweries, locally produced, and that's why I wanted to emphasize local breweries. California, especially Southern California, really became like a mecca of these craft brews. So, and they became most popular for IPAs. So I have, of the four beers I grabbed, and hopefully everyone will get a chance to take a shot at them. Two of them are IPAs. So IPA stands for India Pale Ale, and a pale ale is just like the top of the lighter top of the. Eric, what distinguishes a pale ale?
So I think I'm on mute now.
Okay.
Or off mute. So in India Pale Ale has to do with the way the hops are integrated into the beer whenever it's brewed. Like Steve was saying, whenever we went through kind of a metamorphosis of brewing after Prohibition, because during Prohibition, all of these local beers went under. And like Steve was alluding to, California has always been a hotbed for this sort of thing. And one of the first micro brews was one called, that you're probably familiar with, called Anchor Steam out of San Francisco. Fritz Maytag of the Maytag washer and dryer appliance company ended up bought this brewery as it was about to go out of business, and became one of the first ones out there. So from there, it kind of spawned this interest in all these localized beers. And San Diego, in particular, with a company called Stone, was one of the first to really develop this California IPA idea. And it's a dry beer that has a very hop forward taste to it. And whenever we open this first beer that Steve's going to open in a second, which is a great beer called Pliny the Elder, I think which he's opening now, it really kind of shows what the taste of hops are in a beer. So you kind of divide the taste of a beer up between hops and malt. Hops are crisp and bitter. Malt is kind of a thicker malty taste. So I'll turn it back over to you for Pliny.
So a quick interesting aside. The reason why it's called an IPA, India Pale Ale, is when the ships used to take beer from England all the way to their colony, India, they needed something that was going to be hearty enough to make it through the long journey. So they started adding more hops, which would increase the alcohol content and increase the sustainability of it to make the long trip. So that's why it's called Indian Pale Ale, because it originated going from England to India. So this is the most famous one. It's my favorite beer. It's Pliny the Elder, and it is a double or an imperial IPA, and it is delicious. It is considered to be the most perfectly balanced beer.
I hope you appreciate my pint glass here.
Nice. Excellent. Can you see mine? Also musically themed.
Beautiful. Love it.
Cheers.
Salud.
My son is not drinking, I promise. It's sparkling grape juice.
So
wow. Yeah, that's really hoppy.
It's very, very hoppy, and this beer has kind of it was interesting. Up until maybe the last year or so, liquor stores would only let you buy one at a time, one bottle at a time. You couldn't find it anywhere. And the people who make it, Russian River Brewery, they have decided that they are less interested in mass producing and making money. They just want to have a quality beer. And so it is completely scaled down. They recently made a second brewery that they make a little bit more, but it's very difficult to get. They also once a year come out with a beer called Pliny the Younger, which is a version of this, except for it is a triple IPA.
I mean, that must be so incredibly.
It is,
but the thing
I have not had it.
But the thing is about this, first of all, it's 8% alcohol,
right?
Which is definitely a little higher. I mean, Budweiser's normally the highest domestic,
about
big,
4,
right?
Yeah,
right. So a bottle this big will definitely do the trick. But the thing I like about this is it's really smooth going down. It's really smooth going down, and even though it's very bitter with the hops, it tastes, I mean, it's really delicious and refreshing.
It's perfectly balanced. It goes from the front of the tongue to the back of the tongue without ever really feeling the transition. It's delicious. It's my favorite beer. Now, the Pliny the Younger, which is just came out, usually a few choice brew pubs or restaurants or bars around town will get it, and they'll issue tickets, and you have to enter a lottery, and you can come back. If you win the lottery, you can come back and you can have one pint. This year, because of COVID, they decided for the first time ever they were going to issue it in bottles. And it went on, what was that, Eric, Thursday? Yep. It was on Thursday at 11 a.m. they went on, And I went on at exactly 11 a.m. onto their website, and I could not get it. It sold out before. It was like concert tickets.
Steve, Stacy is asking how much is one of these the bottles at least.
I think they're $8. Is that about right? Yeah.
I just replied to her about $7.
Yeah.
All right, so $1 per percentage of alcohol. Good.
Right, and you could get it. So for a while, you could get it at like Whole Foods, but you had to know that you go to Whole Foods on like a Wednesday. The one in Irvine was Wednesday, and if you went Wednesday at like 10 a.m. and you had to go in the back and ask the liquor guy, you couldn't just look for it on the shelf, and then they would sell you one, maybe two, and then by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock that day, they're gone.
Wow. That's pretty great. I'm curious about some of these other ones. Right. We have about 8 to 10 minutes to get through quite a bit of tasting, and I'm excited. And anybody, if you have questions, please feel free to type it in the chat.
Yeah, I don't see him, but Eric, the beer guru, will be there. All right, this is a porter, and it's similar to a stout. It's a much darker beer. This one is a coconut porter. Has coffee in it. Most famous porters are stout. The most famous stout is Guinness Stout. What do you think, Rabbi? Have you tried it yet?
You're muted.
What's interesting is look at the differences between the two here. We got here. I'm backwards here. So this is the porter right here, and then this was the the double IPA. So I mean, clearly much darker.
Yeah. There's a bunch of different variations of stouts.
Wow. You taste a lot of coffee in this.
You can taste the coffee. You can almost taste like a chocolate. So the Guinness is a milk stout, right? Guinness is a milk stout. So there's different kinds of, you have like dry stouts, oatmeal stouts. I don't know if you can taste the coconut in this. It's, to me, you barely taste it. Barely there.
I'm holding it up so people can see the can. I know some people are it's called Get Toasty, and this is a coconut porter. It's very good. I like it, but it's heavy. This is a
yeah, it's a heavy bottle.
It is. Thank you, Hayden. It's a meal in itself, though.
It is. And now a lot of the stouts will be actually lighter, even though they're darker in color. Though they're lighter in their taste. But this one happens to have like a lot of going on in it. And this was it Trademark Brewery? They're out of Long Beach. So I didn't mention at the previous one the double IPA Pliny is the only one that's from Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones are from. We should probably keep cruising, right?
Let's keep cruising. This is good stuff.
So,
Want me to tell the story about hazies?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, one of the hotter trends in the world of beers over the past 10 years or so has been the advent of the unfiltered beer. You might want to mute Steve so it doesn't. Okay. There has been the advent of what's called an unfiltered beer, an unfiltered IPA. We're going to taste right now. And
I got you another glass. You don't have to do that.
I took care of it. They're also called New England IPAs because they originally started back in the 2000s. There's a brewery in Vermont called the Alchemist that had a beer called Heady Topper, which is a very popular, hard to find beer. But at any rate, breweries have been selling these like crazy. In addition to the general audience for beers, which is dudes. Ladies also like IPAs because they're a little, or these Northeast hazy IPAs because they're a little bit sweeter, and they basically double their market with this. So you tend to, it's been a trend for several years now. You can find them all over the place. This one is from a local brewery in Orange County called Green Cheek, which is one of Steve and my favorite favorite breweries over on Randolph Street, right off of Baker. Um, it's been cool that there's so many little breweries that pop up, and some of them are really good. But you can take a look at this beer. It's you looked at the last IPA, the Pliny the Elder, it was clear. This one isn't. What they do is they basically they make this beer, but they don't filter out all the schmutz that's inside of it. So you get all kinds of different things that are kind of floating around and gives it a cloudy quality.
So Eric, this is absolutely delicious, extremely
Yep.
refreshing. It's I taste a lot of citrus in
Yeah.
it. Like,
So
definitely a lot of grapefruit.
what you're tasting there is a particular kind of hop called, as it were, a citra hop. It's one of the interesting ideas with IPAs is that there are all these different hops that give it a different flavor. There's galaxy hops and citra hops and um, hundreds of different hops are out there. But this one, I believe, is this one is a galaxy hop, but you can taste the citra in it also. They usually have a variety of different hops in the bill. So I'm glad you like this one. Yeah, these are very popular right now.
Delish. Looks like we have one more on our docket here.
Sorry,
This is the one.
there.
This is the one I'm really pumped up over.
It's now almost impossible to not find northeastern or unfiltered IPAs. They are prolific. They are everywhere, and I enjoy them a lot too. Unfortunately, they are a little bit hard on the digestive system for some of us older guys. So just the unfiltered, I don't know what it is about the unfiltered quality, but it'll get you if you drink it a little bit too late in the evening.
Well, I was gonna say thank you for letting me know before we just pounded the can.
Yeah, no,
great.
it's just before it gets too late. You should have.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. All right, we're on to this not enormous.
Okay, so this is the last beer. This is what's called a sour, and it's in the wheat beers, the family of wheat beers. So the most famous one of wheat beer, I think, that my dad loves is Blue Moon. That's kind of more of the mass-produced ones. Prepare yourself. I was gonna have you prepare.
That was not what I was expecting.
What happens a lot of times is that people who become beer connoisseurs, maybe after a while, IPA, unfiltered IPA, this West Coast IPA, they get a little bored and they move on to these sour beers, and they'll really get you in the gland. Ooh.
Oh wow. I mean that definitely that's a punch. If you like sours, let's say if you like Sour Patch Kids or
Sour balls, yeah, the candy sour.
Yeah,
balls.
you'll dig this. It's definitely really.
Come on, Rabbi, give the kid a sip.
Yeah, he did. He got a little sip. He did not. I don't think he liked it, but
No, I smelled it.
Yeah, you smelled it. Okay, but I'm interested in what the Berliner Weisse
Ooh, that smells
is. That just what's that all about?
Ooh, it smells
So they're wheat beers, right? So they put a large proportion of wheat relative to barley, and those are all the same family, right? So the Weisser is just part of the wheat beers.
And yeah, and who makes the Society Brewing Company in San Diego?
Yeah.
This is Society Brewing Company.
As Eric said, that Society San Diego is like the central area for California for brewing. You can go on micro brew or craft brew tours all throughout San Diego. There's tons of them. The most famous one is Stone, but Stone is now considered to be a little bit of a sellout because they've gotten purchased by who owns Stone now?
It's actually interesting. Stone has not, pardon me. Stone is not sold, but there was another company called Ballast Point out of San Diego
Love
that
it.
sold to one of the Mexican breweries for $1 billion with a B dollars. That's how strong the market has been for a lot of these craft beers. And whenever they sell to a big brewery like this, I think it was Modelo that bought them. The idea is that they want to be able to sell them, across the country and around the world, really. And it's because the whole world has developed a taste for these. And it's funny because for a long time, American beer was thought of as crap. I mean, even it's like, when our grandfathers were coming home from World War II, they developed a taste for Heineken or German beers or things like this. And after Prohibition, all of this, crappy, cheap beer like Budweiser, Schlitz, or whatever is what dominated the marketplace because there was nothing else that you could get. But people started to like a lot of these better beers. And now all of a sudden, all of these good beers are coming out of the United States. And they're really kind of driving the market around the world about what people like.
Right. Well,
So Stone actually is owned by Stone still?
yeah.
They
Gentlemen,
are independent.
this was so informative, and I thank you. We could have been doing this a lot longer, and I really appreciate it. On behalf of our other rabbis and Mickey and Heath, we're I heard $1 billion, and we're probably gonna create the SHM Brew out back to make sure that gets taken care of. But in any case, I think my favorite was the Just One Thing Galaxy, the hazy double IPA, along with the first one we had, the Pliny Elder. So thank you. If you guys are interested in any of the other brews, we will send them out with all the other recipes and whatnot. So I am thrilled, guys. Eric, Steve, thank you so much. We really appreciate all of your insight.
Thank you. Anytime.
L'chaim.
Yeah, there you go.
L'chaim.